I was 23 years old, standing in the hallway of my childhood home with the garbage bag in each hand. Not metaphorically. Actual black garbage bags. My mother stood in the doorway of the living room with her arms crossed, and my father sat on the couch behind her, not even looking at me. "This is for your own good," my mother said. Those were her last words to me before closing the door. It wasn't December. It wasn't after a big argument. It was February 14, 2019 at 3 p.m. on a Thursday, and I remember exactly how the afternoon light came through those hallway windows, that harsh, flat kind of light that makes everything look more permanent than it probably is. I'd asked why I was being asked to leave. My mother's answer didn't make sense then. It won't make sense to you now either because it was never about the reason she gave me. Not really. The thing nobody tells you about rejection from the people who raised you is that you spend months, maybe years, looking for the logic in it. Searching for the moment you became inconvenient. Replaying conversations trying to find the thing you said wrong, the way you failed to be grateful enough, small enough, quiet enough. I had no idea that someone in my family had been counting my inheritance the entire time. My grandfather, my father's father, was wealthy. Not nice house and a vacation home wealthy. I'm talking about the kind of money that takes a while to even understand. Oil business money. Multi-generational wealth money. The kind of thing that changes the shape of a family. I never thought much about it growing up. Money wasn't something we talked about in my house. My parents had a nice life. A 4-bedroom in Scottsdale, renovated kitchen, both cars paid for. But they lived like money was something that could run out. Careful. Controlled. They spent like people who were afraid. My grandfather lived differently. He'd visit maybe twice a year, stay for a week, take us all to expensive restaurants where I'd get overwhelmed by the menu. He had this particular smell. Expensive cologne mixed with cigars. He'd ruffle my hair and make jokes I didn't understand. My father would become different when he was there. Louder, more animated, eager to please in a way I'd never seen. When I was 12, Grandpa gave me a savings bond. $10,000. He said it was for my education. He also gave my father a check for $50,000 for home improvements, which my father never actually used for renovations. He just had it. Sat in an account. My younger brother, Mark, got similar gifts. Our older sister didn't. She was from my dad's first marriage, and there was tension there, the kind families don't talk about directly but everyone understands silently. Money has a way of showing who belongs and who doesn't. The pattern started small. My parents would emphasize my brother's accomplishments, his grades, his sports, in a way they didn't mind. Not with cruelty, just with a subtle preference. A distinction in tone. My achievements got a "that's nice," while his got a "we're so proud." I told myself I was imagining it. I told myself I was being oversensitive. I was a sensitive kid anyway. But I wasn't imagining it. When I turned 18, my grandfather took me aside at a family dinner. This was the last time I'd see him alive. "I'm going to do right by you," he said. "All of you. I've set things up properly. You'll be taken care of." He was 78. He died 14 months later. His will was read on a Thursday. We all gathered at a lawyer's office in Phoenix. I was 20. I remember the office had that particular silence of spaces designed for serious conversations. Thick carpet, dark wood, no windows. The attorney explained that Grandpa had divided his estate among his 3 grandchildren. Me, my brother Mark, and my half-sister Emma. Emma got $5 million. Mark got $5 million. I got $20 million. I was stunned. I didn't feel lucky, I felt shocked. And something else I couldn't name at first. Something like being marked. My father's face didn't change. My mother smiled. Mark was quiet the entire drive home. The money didn't go directly to me. At 20, that would have been irresponsible. Grandfather's trust was structured with my father as a trustee until I turned 25. He could distribute funds for my education, healthcare, reasonable living expenses. The rest was protected. Protected from me and supposedly protected for me. My parents suddenly cared about where I was. What I was doing. They wanted to know about my plans. My future. Had I thought about college? I had. You see, Berkeley. But I deferred for a year. They were involved in a way they hadn't been before. Then came the questions about the trust itself. Careful questions. Have you thought about what you'll do with the money? My mother asked during dinner one night when I was 21. Eventually, I said. I genuinely hadn't thought about it. The money felt unreal. It was just numbers on a statement I checked occasionally and then tried not to think about. Your father could help you invest it. He's good with money. You could have it work for you. That was the sentence that bothered me. The way she phrased it. Not your father would like to help you, but your father could help you. Like it was already decided. Like it was inevitable. I started paying attention after that. Money transfers to my account for my apartment began being delayed by my father, who controlled the purse strings. Expenses he deemed unnecessary, therapy, which I'd started, books, a laptop weren't approved. When I asked directly why my tuition reimbursement was taking 3 months instead of the expected week, my father said the accountant was busy. I was living on a part-time job salary while sitting on a multi-million-dollar trust one couldn't access. Then 6 months before my 24th birthday, my mother asked me if I'd found my own place yet. We were sitting in the kitchen. My father came in and didn't greet me, just went straight to the refrigerator. The house is getting crowded, my mother said. It wasn't. My older sister had moved out years ago. Mark was in college. It was basically just me and them. I thought I'd stay until graduation, I said. I'm only in school part-time. Well, my mother said, you've got that trust money coming. Maybe it's time you had your independence. The way she said it. Like independence. Like moving into my own place in a market I couldn't afford was some kind of gift. I said I'd think about it. 2 days later, my father called me into his office at home. He had papers spread across his desk. Trust documents. Estate reports. Financial statements. His reading glasses were on. I've been reviewing the trust structure, he said. And honestly, the money's going to be yours in a few years anyway. So I've been thinking about some reorganization options that could be beneficial. He started explaining something about restructuring the disbursement to minimize tax liability and blah blah blah. I was sitting there, and I felt it, that feeling you get when someone is explaining something that sounds reasonable but feels wrong. Like someone turning up the temperature so slowly you don't notice you're burning. What happens if we do that? I asked. You get more money overall. Everyone wins. Everyone. Not you get more money. Everyone. That's when I decided I needed to talk to someone outside the family. I made an appointment with an estate attorney. Her name was Linda Torres. Linda's office was on the second floor of a building that smelled like coffee and aged paper. She was probably 60, wore glasses on a beaded chain, and didn't smile much. I liked her immediately. I brought every document I had. The original trust paperwork. The tax filings. The statements. Everything my father had shown me. Everything he hadn't. She read slowly. Methodically. Made notes. Asked me questions about dates and conversations. Didn't interrupt me when I talked. Just listened. When she was done, she leaned back in her chair and took her glasses off. Your father and mother have been gradually consolidating control of the trust disbursements, she said. They've been using it to fund their lifestyle. Using your trust as collateral for loans. Restructuring it in ways that give them access to funds that were supposed to be cordoned off. What they're proposing, this restructuring, would give them legal access to distribute funds however they see fit. Your trust would essentially become a family account. My hands were cold. But I'll be 25 next year. Won't I get it then? If they've completed the restructuring, they'll argue that as a family, you've collectively agreed to a different structure. They'll claim that the money was always meant to be family wealth, not individual inheritance. Without a formal document from your grandfather explicitly preventing them from doing this, and without you refusing to sign their restructuring agreement, they have a pretty clear pathway to what they want. Which is full access to all $20 million of your inheritance. I didn't feel angry at first. I felt numb, like someone had just explained to me that gravity had stopped working, but only for me. So what do? I asked. First, you don't sign anything. Second, you refuse any further consolidation. Third, you get your own trustee who has no family connection. Fourth, she paused. Fourth, you distance yourself from them. Legally. Because what happens next depends on how far they're willing to go. And from what I've seen, they're willing to go pretty far. I went home and waited for Friday dinner. That's when my family was all together. We ate at the dining room table. Nobody talked much. My mother made a salad. My father carved the chicken. It was normal until I said, I'm not signing any restructuring agreement. My father set down his knife and fork very carefully. You're 23 years old and you have no idea how money actually works, he said. I have an attorney reviewing everything. And I'm not signing anything. My mother made a small sound. Not quite a word. My father's jaw tightened. After everything we've done for you, he said. The sacrifices we've made. We raised you in this house. We provided. And you're going to sit here and accuse us of what? Stealing from you. I'm not accusing anyone of anything. I'm just saying I'm not signing. That's when my mother started crying. Not devastated crying. Strategic crying. The kind that comes when you realize your plan isn't working and you need a new approach. I can't believe you think we'd take advantage of you, she said. Your father's been trying to help you. To be responsible. And this is how you repay it. You go to some stranger attorney and let her poison you against us. My father stood up. You're an ungrateful kid. You have no idea what it's like to have responsibility. To have to think about more than just yourself. Then I'll learn, I said. On my own. And I'm going to move out. Good, my father said. Get out. 2 weeks later, on a Thursday afternoon in February, I left with garbage bags full of my things. The first month living in a studio apartment in Tempe was surreal. I was sleeping on a mattress on the floor. My job paid minimum wage. I was eating cereal for dinner 3 nights a week. And somehow this felt more real than anything my childhood home had ever felt. My parents didn't contact me. I didn't contact them. My younger brother Mark texted me once asking if I was okay. I said I was. He didn't text again. When I later found out he and my parents were filing a petition to remove me as a trust beneficiary, claiming I was being manipulated by an unethical attorney, I felt sad for him but not surprised. He had always been their favorite. The money that came to him was probably already gone. Or promised. Or both. Linda handled the legal side. There were letters. There were threats of litigation from my parents' attorney. There was an investigation into whether I was being unduly influenced. Everything was designed to be scary. To make me question whether I was doing the right thing. What they didn't expect was how little I actually cared. I was 23 years old with $10 in my pocket most weeks and I was freer than I'd ever been. It took 8 months but eventually, the trust was restructured under an independent trustee. My parents got nothing. The restructuring they'd proposed never happened. When I turned 25 in 2021, I gained full access to my inheritance. Except there was a problem. The account had been depleted. Not completely but significantly. My parents, using their position as trustee, had taken loans against the principal. Loans that they never intended to repay. By the time I gained access, $3.2 million was missing. We sued. Took years. In 2024, we settled. I got back about $2.1 million of it, plus legal fees and interest. The rest was lost to legal costs and the reality that my parents had spent money they didn't have access to. I'm 28 now. I have a house. Not an expensive one. I have a career that I chose because it interested me, not because it paid well. I have a therapist who I pay for myself. And I haven't spoken to my parents in 4.5 years. Sometimes I wonder if they ever think about what they did. If they lie awake at night understanding the calculation they made. That they would destroy their relationship with their son for the chance at money that was never theirs to take. I wonder if they feel the weight of that arithmetic. Mostly, though, I don't think about them at all. What I think about is this: the inheritance never felt like mine. Even when it was just a number on a statement, it felt like something that was being held over me, like a threat disguised as a gift. And then, when I had to fight for it, when I had to choose between my family and my own integrity, I realized something that took me years to fully understand. I would rather have nothing and be honest than have everything and be complicit. There's a specific moment that I keep coming back to. It was about 6 months after I moved out. I was working a shift at a cafe and it was the lunch rush. I was making lattes so fast my arms ached. And a woman in line was yelling at me because her cappuccino wasn't hot enough. Usually, I would have apologized excessively. I would have remade it and probably given her something free just to make her feel heard. But that day, I just remade the drink and said, "This is what I can do for you." She was annoyed. She left. And I felt something strange. I felt fine. Not triumphant. Not bitter. Just fine. Stable. Like I was standing on ground that was actually solid. That's what nobody tells you about money, especially generational wealth. It's not actually freedom. It's a door that looks like it's opening, but it's really a cage. It's a reason for people to act in ways they wouldn't otherwise act. It's a truth serum that shows you exactly who people are willing to become. Losing my family wasn't the bad thing that happened to me. My family choosing money over me, choosing the possibility of money over the relationship, that's what happened. Losing them was just the consequence. If you've ever felt that pulling sensation in a relationship, where someone's behavior changed when something valuable was at stake, where you suddenly weren't quite as important as you were before, you know what I'm talking about. That moment where you realize that love and loyalty are conditional, that people have prices even when they won't admit it. The question isn't whether you forgive them. The question is whether you keep showing up for them after you know the answer. I chose not to. And that money, the 20 million, the 2 million I ended up with, it's not the answer to anything. It's not freedom. It's not security. It's just money. The real answer is simpler. It's learning to trust your own instinct when something feels wrong, even when the person making you uncomfortable is someone you've known your entire life. It's choosing what's true over what's comfortable. It's standing in that doorway with your garbage bags and knowing, absolutely knowing, that you're making the only choice you can live with. That's the inheritance that actually matters.